Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, inshallah, if you need to go pray, go ahead and pray. Just before you do, we're going to take attendance, right? And there should be voice now, I think. We're going to take attendance really, really quickly. So we're going to begin with our lesson, and we're going to review this fourth lesson, Ad-Dars al-Rabi'. Okay? You can all practice saying that with me, Ad-Dars al-Rabi'. Yes, I know we already did this. We're going to review it really quickly, and then inshallah for homework you will get the extra sentences, and we'll go over that in group, and then inshallah move on. So this is how we're going to do it. So what did you tell me? We already learned this, right? So in the previous lesson we did two forms of the word this, right? Pointing words for things closer. So what were the two sorts of words that you can use for that? There's two words for this, just this. Okay, good. Hada. I see hada. And then hadihi. Good, right. MashaAllah, I see you. The hada and hadihi. So hada was for male, and then hadihi was for female, right? So in this lesson, there's going to be one more word that we learned, right? So what were the two ways we can say that? Good, right. Dhalika and tilka. Yes, we're going to go over it really, really quickly as a review. So dhalika, what do you use dhalika for? As opposed to tilka. Why would you use dhalika instead? Good, right. If it's a male, if you're pointing to something like a boy, or if you're pointing to something, right, a male, you would use dhalika. And if you were pointing to some girl, or you're pointing to something like female, then it's tilka, right. Good. Okay. So let's just read the sentences. We'll go through the sentences really quickly. So let's read the first sentence. Hada Hishamun wa Dhalika Jamalun. So we have two sentences here. Good. I see you're typing up the translation. Right. This is Hisham and that is Jamal. Okay. So the first thing we have in here, the first pronoun we have is hada, right? Hada. And the hada points to something that is close, right? And we know it has to be hada because what comes after it? What are we pointing to? Who are we pointing to? Hisham, right? And Hisham is a boy, right? It'll be male. So these hada always connects with Hisham, right? And then wa means and. You all know that, right? That one's easy. Wa and. Here's the second thing. Dhalika Jamalun. So why do we use dhalika? There's two parts, sort of, if you think about it. Dhalika, because, right, the first part is that because Jamalun is a boy, and then, right, Brother Hassan got the second. Good. The second reason is because dhalika is pointing to something far. So there's two things that we have to think about. Where the person is and what are we pointing to, right? So that was easy. Dhalika Jamalun, and that is Jamal, right? Right, where and what. So where and what are we talking about? That's a good summary. I never even thought about it like that. Where you're pointing to and what you're pointing to. Okay, so there are two things you have to keep in mind. So let's look at the second one. So these are all the male pronouns. And let's look at the female pronouns, right? Hadihi Aminatu wa tilka Zainabu. Okay? Hadihi Aminatu. This is the first part of the sentence. Hadihi Aminatu. Good. This is Amina. Wa and tilka Zainab. And that. Remember that is Zainab. Just make sure tilka, it's something that's far away, right? Something that's way, way over there. So what tilka Zainabu, and that is Zainab. Right? Okay. So we made sure that we used hadihi and tilka because it's female, right? They're both female. And we used hadihi when it was close and tilka when it was far. Okay, inshallah, if you need to go pray, you can pray now. If we gave a break for everybody to pray in all the different time zones, then we wouldn't really have class. We'd have break all the time. I know that's what everybody wants, but break all the time, full break. Okay, so let's move on to the question answers. Man hadha wa man dhalika. So man hadha, see, a lot of these are actually the compound sentences, remember? Like the compound ones with wa, right? Wa meaning and, right? So man hadha, we know this sentence, right? Who is this? Man hadha, wa and man dhalika. So who is this and who is that over there? So who is that? Good. So we know that we're going to answer with who is this. We know we have to answer with a male, right? We have to answer with male because hadha is male. So hadha Hishamun. Hadha Hishamun is, this is Hisham. Wa, and you want to answer the second question now. So this is the first question. This is the first answer. This is the second question. This is the second answer. So man dhalika. So you know dhalika has to be far away, has to be male. So the only person we can answer is Jamal, right? So dhalika Jamalun. Good. Okay. Do you have any questions as we go on? This should be a review, right? But in case you have any questions, we can clarify them now so that we can move on. Okay, Sister Beanie, you can type it up. Okay, yes, Brother Asha, you can write in the book with pencil. Make sure it's neat, you know, in case you have a mistake or anything, you want to be able to erase it, right? So just keep it neat. And Charlie can write some notes in there with pencil. That'll be fine. Why do you use that he or she is a who? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so when you mean like when I say who is this and we type something up like this is Hisham, like why do we use and who is that, right? Why do we use that? Because it's a person, right? Is that what you're asking? Yes, Sister Shazad, this is a really quick thing. Man, you can use for man hadhihi, man hadha. You can use it for feminine and masculine because it's just a question. Okay, so Sister Beanie, this is I think in English you use it as well, right? In English we don't even have feminine, masculine, male, female sort of thing. So if we say that over there, that's Sister Beanie, right? Like, I think what you're I know what you're asking. I understand, like when we say Sister Beanie, the Sister Beanie that is tall, we would say the Sister Beanie who is tall, right? I know what you're asking, but in this case, even in English you use it. Yes, okay, so we use like who is that over there? And tilka is used for a girl, yes. Here, I'm going to write out a chart right here. So, and I want you to help me fill it out. So this is male, female, right? So close, and far away, okay? So I want you guys to help me come and when do we use man and when do we use hal? Are you talking about hal as in like the Arabic question word hal? We haven't gone over that yet. Inshallah we will soon. So yes, we don't have to worry about that right now. Okay, so I want you to fill out this chart with me. So what is going to go in that first blank? Right here, under male and close. What are we going to use? Hadha, dhalika, tilka, hadha, right? Hadha is used for something male and then something that's used for close, right? So both we use hadha, right? And then what do we use? What goes in the second box? Hadhihi, right? Hadhihi is used for the one that's feminine and when you're pointing to something close, right? So I can put hadhihi in this box. But what about something that's far away? These were the ones that we learned in this thing. Okay, Sister Faiza, just follow along with the words. Inshallah it'll make sense. So what we want to fill out a word that goes underneath male and that goes under something that's far. So what is the pronoun that has both male and far away? Sister Faiza, do you understand? So just match up which one it goes in. It's like a grid, right? Okay, so I see you're answering Zadika, right? Okay, so Zadika goes in this box. Zadika. Zadika. And what goes in the last box? The last box goes for far away and then female. Yes, Dilka. Dilka goes in the far away female. So I can put Dilka over here. I use charts a lot. It's sometimes a lot easier to organize, you know, like put in lots of different sort of ways to remember things, organize the info, right. Okay, so I think you all understand when to use Dilka, when to use Zadika, right? So let's read the next sentence. Woman hadihi, woman tilka. So we have woman hadihi and woman tilka. Tilka means, I think you type tilka, right? Tilka means that, both Zadika and tilka mean that, right? It's just when you use them. So tilka you use for female things, for if you're pointing to a girl, if you're pointing to feminine, right? So woman hadihi, and who is this? Woman tilka, and who is that? In both of these cases, who are we referring to? Female, right, female. So for the first sentence, to refer to the hadihi, we're going to point to who? Right, this is Amina, because Amina, we remember, Amina was close to us and she's feminine, right? She's a girl. So we use Aminatu, wa, and tilka Zainab. Yes, for man we use man for living things. So wa tilka Zainab. And that is Zainab. And we use Zainab because Zainab is a feminine, right? She's a girl. And she is also far away. Right? A faraway girl. So we looked at who and we looked at what. Okay. And we can use this chart to line it up. Feminine is in the second column, far away, bottom column, so we know that it's tilka, right? So that matches up. Let's look at the last two sentences. We're going to go through this really, really quickly. So, okay, so to clarify, man is used for living things, right? And what's used for non-living things? What if I wanted to point to an object, ask somebody what is this, and I wanted to point to a desk, right? Ma, or you could use right? You could use for any sort of question. But ma specifically for non-living things, objects, things in your room, things like that. Things that aren't living, right? Okay, so you could use for people as well. Is really just sort of question. Just think of it as is, like you could say, is this Zainab? How would you say, is this Zainab? So think about it. Is, we want to use, okay, somebody has good, Zainabu hadihi, right. Good, Brother Hassan, he got it, mashallah. Zainabu hadihi, because you know that, yes, I see some of you are getting it now. Zainabu hadihi, right. Because hadihi is feminine, so we had to use hadihi. I saw some people with hada. Remember that Zainab is a girl, so we use hadihi. So as is hadihi, this, Zainabu, Zainab. So is this Zainab? So just like that, we can use for non-living things, objects, people, anything. But man we can only use for living things. So let's look at this. Hadha, Hishamun, wa, and Hadhihi Amina. Yes, Sister Faiza, ma is used for non-living things. So Hadha, Hishamun. What is Hadha, Hishamun, wa Hadhihi Amina? Good. Hadha is this, Hishamun Hisham, wa, and Hadihi Amina. This is Amina. Okay, and Hadha is close. Hadihi is also close, right? Let's look at the next sentence, because these are easy. Dhalika Jamalun wa tilka Zainabu. Dhalika Jamalun wa tilka Zainabu. So in this case we have Dhalika and we have tilka. In the first one we had Hadha and Hadihi. Right, okay, I see that is Jamal and that is Zainab, right? So both of these ones are far away. In the first sentence, the things that we were pointing with, what were they? Hadha and Hadihi. What did they have in common? What did Hadha and Hadihi have in common? They are, right, they both mean this. They both mean things that are close, right, Sister Maimuna, right. They're both things that are close. And in the second sentence, what did Dhalika and Tilka have in common? Yes, they're both far, right? They're both things that are far away. So Dhalika and Tilka, both far away. Hadha, Hadihi, both things that are close. Yes. So let's look at the exercises. The Tamarin. Let's look at the exercises. Were these easy? I think some of you did some of these as well, right? Okay, so yes, if today's homework is going to be some extra exercises, you know how we did extra sentences? So that's what's going to be today's homework for Saturday, but we're going to review this homework as well, okay? Okay, so read and write. You good? I like how people are looking at the directions as well, because I know sometimes I just tell you the directions, but try and read them yourself. Like, try and read the directions and see if you can translate it. So Iqra waqtub means read and write. So inshallah you guys did that, right? Or you can do it yourself. Just read and write the following words. And we know Hadha, Hadihi, we reviewed this. Hadha, Hadihi, this, right? Dhalika, Tilka, that. Okay, so Ma and Man. I think this is what we were having some questions on. What is Ma? What? Yes, Ma is what, and what we use for non-living things, objects, right? Yes, we'll get to exercise 2 soon. And then for Man we use for, what do we use Man? Man is who, right? So who we use for living things, who we use for people. Even in English we don't say like, who is that, and somebody's going to say, oh, that is the desk, right? That doesn't make sense at all. So Man is who, yes. And then Na'am and La, we know Na'am, La. I see you guys typing it up all the time, mashallah. Yes, that's fine, Sister Shazal, you can type it up. Or write it on paper. Na'am and La, we know all that time. Na'am, yes, La, no. Oh, but I was just joking. I was saying it doesn't make sense if we use Man for desks. And then Wa we know is and. So this is easy, right? I just want to go through the meaning. Are we going to take up the homework? I don't know. You don't have to write the meaning, just read and write. I want you to think about the meaning though when you're reading it. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So this one says we have to fill in the blank with either Hadha or Hadihi, right? And how do we know if it's going to be Hadha or Hadihi? I mean, I think they both mean this. But do they both mean the same thing? Let's see. Yes, they mean the same thing in English, right? This, they both mean this. So we have to know if it's a boy or a girl we're pointing to. Then we know which one to use, right? So let's look at the first sentence. So we have, who do we have in the sentence? You can tell by the name, yes. In the first sentence, we have Hamidun, right? Hamidun is a boy's name, right? And we don't even have to know if it's a boy's name, right? What can we look at to figure out if it's a boy's name or a girl's name? Let's say we didn't know that Hamidun is a boy's name. Yes, I see the tanween, right? The tanween right there. it tells us that it's a boy, because the boy's names at the end, they have two dhammas. The boy's name, not objects, you know. So a boy's name has two dhammas. So what do we use here? Hada or hadihi? Yes, girl's name has one. It would be hada hamidun. Yes, it would be hada hamidun. So hada hamidun. So let's look at the second one. Wa and something Fatima. Fatima is, yes, I think you guys said it before. Let's look at the ending thing. It has one, right? Yes, so we use hadihi. So hadihi. Let's look at the next sentence, because I know these ones are easy. So, yes, and we also, I know some of you are getting ahead, some of you know this. We see other signs of feminine, right? But for now, let's just look at the what's on top. So let's look at the next sentence. It has something Zainab, wa, and something Jamalun. Yes, I see the first one people are typing up, it's hadihi. Of course it's hadihi. Because Zainabu is a girl. So you're going to have hadihi. And for the second blank, right, hada is the second one, because hada is for somebody that's close, and then somebody that is a boy. Jamalun, right, Jamalun has two. So that means it's a boy. And so let's look at the third sentence. The third sentence has two blanks in it, but the first one's a question. Yes, okay, so we're almost done. And the first one's a question, but let's look at the answer, because the answer tells us something. The answer tells us we're going to be pointing to who? A girl, right? We're going to be pointing to a girl, a female. And the female is Maryam. So we know the question and answer, they both have to match, right? Yes, they both have to match. And only hada and hadihi are choices, right? So yes, Sister Fatima, hadihi for both of the blanks. So we can put hadihi for both of the blanks. Man hadihi, and then the answer was hadihi Zainab. Or hadihi Maryam, sorry. I get used to saying one of the names and then okay, mashallah, this one is a bit tricky, the third one. It's usually the last ones that are tricky. So let's look at the last exercise. Fill in the blanks with either dhalika or tilka. So I'm sure you guys already tried this, right? So it's basically the same thing as the one before. How do we know which one to use, dhalika or tilka? Whether it's on typed up male, female, yes. That's how we know. Either it's going to be male or it's going to be female. So either it's going to be dhalika or it's going to be tilka. Yes. So let's look at the first sentence. Something Hishamun wa and something Amina. So what goes in the first? First one is Hishamun, right? Dhalika, right? Dhalika Hishamun. And we know it has to be dhalika because I think we're having, okay, yes, we know it has to be dhalika because Hishamun is a boy. The homework, I'll explain it to you now. It'll be sent to you, okay? So don't worry about the homework right now. It's going to be like a worksheet, you know? So, and then we'll review it on Saturday class. So, dhalika Hishamun wa and okay, Sister Shazan, this exercise, it just tells you the two options are dhalika and tilka, right? So in this, we don't really have a choice. So wa and tilka, right? Tilka Amina. So let's look at this next sentence. The next sentence has who in it? Maryam and Kamalun, right? So Maryam, what goes with Maryam? Tilka, right? So Tilka, Maryam, wa and what goes with Kamalun? Dhalika, right? So is this getting easy for you? Yes, naam. And remember, look at all the sentences you're able to make. You're able to use, yes, you're learning, right? It gets so much easier. It gets easy. Yes, mashallah. That's because you guys are smart. I know that's why. Yes, we're taking bit by bit. And that's okay, inshallah. So let's look at the next sentence. The third sentence is, we've got 3 parts this time. So now we have a 3-in-1 sentence, right? I think this is the first time it comes in this book, right? I made a mistake? Good. You guys can tell me if I make a mistake. I don't mind. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Oh yeah, I know sometimes the dots don't come up on the RizIQ, so I apologize if that happens. But yes, Zalika Kamalun. So let's look at the third one. So we have 3. We have 3 in 1 sentence. So something Jamalun wa and something Fatima, something Hamidun. Good. Some of you typed up, let's see, the first blank. Zalika, right? Because Jamalun is male. Okay, I'll try to get the dots done this time. Sometimes they don't show up. Zalika. Okay. Remember, for this exercise, we're only going to use Zalika and Tilka. We are not using things that are close. And so then, how do we connect sentences? I can make one giant 6-in-1 sentence, right? But how would I do that? Good. Yes, mashallah. You guys got it. It's wa, right? I could say, you know, this is Jamalun was. I could keep on adding things, right? As much as I wanted. I could use wa. Let's look at the second blank, right? Tilka. This one has tilka in it. And then the last blank. Because you know tilka is the one that points to female, right? So we know that since Fatima is female, it's got to be tilka. So let's look at the last one. Yes, Zalika. The last one has to be Zalika because Hamidun is a boy. And then let's look at the last one, because I know that these are really easy. If you have any questions, type them up now. I think we only have like 1 more minute left, so let's look at the last sentence. The last sentence is like the this question one in exercise 3 before, right? So let's look at, we have 2 blanks, man something and something Zainab. So we get what refers to the Zainab. Let's fill in the second blank first. Yes, tilka, because tilka is going to be, remember we're going to be using Zalika and tilka only. So tilka is the one that would go here. And so since the question has to match the answer, what is going to be in the question? Right, the question is also going to be tilka. So man tilka, and then our answer is tilka Zainab. What does tilka and Zalika mean? Tilka and Zalika in English, they mean that. So it's the word that you use to point to something far away. So tilka, like, tilka Zainabu in English would be that is Zainab over there. So like that over there is Zainab. Okay, so yes, we're going to end class today, and the homework is going to be sent out. It's going to be sent out to you on email, so check your email before Saturday and show you get the homework. I hope you learned something or you reviewed it, and so Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.